Everyone, hope you're doing really well. My name is Donnie Lowy at closeoutexplosion.com. I have a wholesale business in New York. You are welcome to visit my warehouse. I have a lot of different merchandise. I supply flea market vendors, I supply retailers, wholesalers, boutique owners, eBay sellers, Amazon sellers, and many other different sellers. Today I'd like to discuss tips for upstate New York flea market vendors. Upstate New York is one of my favorite areas. I've been going to upstate New York as a kid many times. I've continued to go as an adult, and I love it there. One of the things that I enjoy doing is when I'm upstate New York is looking at flea markets. I find them fascinating. You know, I am in the wholesale business, so of course, from a business perspective, it's great to see flea markets. It's great to know, what is happening, the latest trends, what vendors are buying, what they're selling, what customers are buying. And it's also just fascinating for me. I like to see the, human interaction that takes place, see an open market business. I feel it's a very, pure form of business to watch a flea market. I was a flea market vendor myself. I sold at the Aqueduct Flea Market in Queens. I sold at other flea markets in New Jersey, and I really enjoyed it. Now, so here, let me start out like this. Even though there are general, strategies and tips that apply to all flea market vendors, I think it's important that if you're going to be focusing on a specific region, that you develop strategies for the region that you're going to be focusing on. So we could start out by saying, it's important if you're selling at a flea market to get merchandise at a low price, to get what I would call commodity items, meaning items like socks, t-shirts, hats, gloves, jeans, very, I would say, steady items that everyone needs, and that items that are just bought and sold on a frequent basis. Undergarments is another good item. The idea is just to have items that people who are coming to the flea market are gonna buy them. They're gonna be a good impulse item, right? Because everyone needs socks, everyone needs t-shirts, everyone could use a new belt once in a while, everyone could use a hat, everyone could use a pair of gloves during the winter, and so on. Having said that, if you're selling at a flea market in upstate New York, you have to keep in mind a few different characteristics of upstate New York. Number one, the type of jobs that people have. Many areas in upstate New York are more rural. People can work on farms. People are dealing with animals. People, meaning they're dealing with cows, they're dealing with horses. They are working on farms. They are planting, they are collecting fruits, they're working on machinery. And there's also people that have plenty of office jobs. There are people who have their own businesses. There are professionals. There are people working in hospitals. There are people working in government agencies. There are people working in prisons. There are a lot of prisons upstate New York. So the thing is, whichever flea market that you sell in, you have to know who your customer base is. Let's say you're in a flea market near Monticello, and there's people who work in government jobs, or there's people who work for banks. Then you're going to need merchandise that fits them. If you're in Orange County, in an area where there are a lot of farms, then you're going to want to have merchandise which is suitable and appropriate for people that work on farms. Let's say you're located upstate New York near a major hospital, and there are a lot of nurses that work there, there are doctors that are there. You might want to sell scrubs, nurse uniforms, doctor coats, those white jackets that the doctors wear. And you're going to want to have other items that are needed by technicians at the hospital, by nurses, by doctors. What I'm trying to convey to you is that wherever you are in upstate New York, you can be in Binghamton, you can be in Syracuse, you can be in Buffalo. You have to have merchandise that is suitable for the region. Now, one of the ways that you know what merchandise is suitable by the region is by, first of all, going to the flea market and see what are other people selling, not just what other people are selling, but what are the customers buying from those vendors. Because you can have a vendor who has a really beautiful display of comic books, but if no one is interested in buying those comic books, then just because he or she is selling them, you don't want to go ahead and sell them yourself. After all, that might be that vendor's first time selling. Maybe that vendor has tried other ways to sell his merchandise or her merchandise, and now they've come to the flea market to load those comic books. One thing I noticed from selling at the flea market is that many times you're going to have stores that want to liquidate some of their merchandise. So they will go to the flea market just to liquidate that merchandise. They'll sell it at a very low price. This way they can move that merchandise out. That doesn't mean that they're actually making a profit on that merchandise. What it actually just means is they need to liquidate that merchandise. If you can find that merchandise at a very low price, then yeah, maybe you can make money off it. But keep in mind that the owner of that merchandise is selling that merchandise at such a low price just simply because they're looking to recoup some of what they spent on that merchandise, and they might be taking a loss on it. Now, to get more focused on upstate New York, so we've discussed, you need to look at the region that you're selling at. You need to look at who your customers are. Go to a local Walmart, see what's being sold at the local Walmart. Go to the local stores in downtown, whether you're in Binghamton, as I mentioned, or anywhere. You could be in a major city, or you can be in a smaller town. You could be in Goshen. You can be in there's many different towns. You could be in Monticello. You could be in Monroe, and the idea is to see who your customers are. For instance, if you're near Monroe and there's a lot of Hasidic Jewish customers, then you're going to want to have merchandise that is good for the Hasidic Jewish customers. If you're in an area upstate New York where there's Amish people, then you're going to have merchandise that's suitable for the Amish customers. The key in business is know your customers. See who your customers are and find merchandise for those customers. And then it's also important to know what the prices for the merchandise are in that specific market. And I'll give you an example. Here let's say in Brooklyn, New York, you could go to a discount store and you can buy a package of 6 pairs of socks, men's socks, let's say for $5.99, $6. So if you're a flea market vendor in Brooklyn, New York, and you buy that same package of socks for $3, then you're fine, right? You're buying for $3, you could sell it for $5.99, assuming that's what you could sell it for. And let's say at the flea market, you charge less. So if you're going to charge less, okay, you'll make less, or you try to pay less than $3 a package. Let's say you go to an area upstate New York where the economy is not doing well, and there people are selling a package of 6 pairs of socks for only $3. Now you have to make sure that you buy that package for less than $3. Now, even just keep this one thing in mind, that even if you're selling in an area that's economically challenged, people still make decisions what they want to spend their money on. So someone might only be willing to spend a few dollars on a pair of socks, but they might also be willing to save up some of their money and buy an expensive item. They might buy an expensive pair of jeans. They might buy an expensive TV set. They might be looking to buy accessories for their vehicle. So the key is to know your customer and see what it is that they're buying, and go to local stores. Now remember, everyone today can shop online, so make sure prices are competitive when you compare to the prices being charged online. And having said that, the other option is if you are selling items which people need right then they might be okay paying a slight premium because they need the merchandise right then. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. The next time you are in New York, you are welcome to visit my warehouse. The name of my website is closeoutexplosion.com. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thank you and have an amazing day.